That is not how I intended to start this episode, with coughing right off the bat. But here we are. My guest is Winston Pei. Which one?
Pie.
Winston Pei.
Actually, strictly speaking, it's Bai. But
okay,
most of the time people say Pie, but Bai is the proper pronunciation.
Okay, so Winston Pei, ladies and gentlemen, joins the show. I met Mr. Winston way back at When Worlds Collide 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe even sooner than that.
No, because see, I remember this. See, the first year we met, we ran into each other, and we had gone for a couple of years, never running into each other. Like that was the first day, right? Remember that?
Yes,
right.
That's
right. We never ran into each other prior to 2018. And you were like, and we were talking, we're going to talk about this a little bit on the show, like your concepts with books, and they were really, really, really cool. And I was like, you know what you should do? You should go out and talk about them. And you were like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, you should. I'll go. I'll go. I remember that. I remember I said that to you.
Yep.
And what I did was I did exactly that. In 2019, the last year before the pandemic, Winston did his very first presentation at When Worlds Collide, and I was sitting in within, I think, the first 4 rows, something like that. Anyway,
yep.
I was there, and I made one recommendation to him because he missed a very obvious choice for book design, which was a pop-up book. Because if there's not something that screens, right?
Oh yeah.
But
besides object.
Yeah. But besides that, it's a lot of fun because Winston loves books, but he also loves constructing the idea as the book itself being a medium for story. And that was interesting. And that's how we met. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So now you're on my show towards the end of the Twitch era.
That's great.
Yeah. I know who my 1000th episode guest is going to be.
You're not going to tell anyone though.
I might. It's a legitimate comic book legend. Legitimate. But I'm not. I asked him. Actually, I got the confirmation today. Actually, of all, someone I read when I was a kid. He's not the one. Like he's not the guy you're gonna. He's not Tom McFarlane or like somebody like you're gonna say I knew this guy, but dare I say he probably was the backbone of some of the best comics in the 80s.
Cool.
And early 90s. So, and he's had a career ever since.
Cool.
Yeah. That's as much as a hint you're getting today, folks.
Okay. Well, and I don't know much about comic books or graphic novels. Just finished taking a class about it in my library degree, but I'm just brand new to it all. So I'm discovering a whole new world there.
So what did they teach you?
We just did a whole reading list of just examples of graphic novels and comic books, and we studied the history of it and the issues around it, around censorship and publishing, and it was just a really broad introduction, but it's fascinating branch of books that you'd wonder how come I didn't get into it sooner. But I was not a comic book kid growing up.
Yeah, well, comic books have evolved quite a bit. Like back when you were a kid, they were all about men and women in tights fighting crime.
And I didn't even get into those. I was the Richie Rich, a bit of Casper the Friendly Ghost. That was my world of comics.
now of interest to you, if you go back in my audio right now, right? One of my most recent guests was actually publicist for Archie for 10 years.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
He's doing a Kickstarter right now. Like Kickstarter, is, especially for comics, has been a larger publisher than I think a lot of people realize.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people are going in there doing their thing, and I'm a big comic nerd. Like here, show you just real quick. On my table right now, to be reviewed for my column, I have everything ranging from, I got all kinds of stuff here. So I got Love and Collectors.
Yep.
I met this guy at San Diego. His name's Eddie. So something I realized, so this is how good I've become at reading some people. I realized very quickly. I also got here's issue 6, which is actually what the first he gave me that for free.
Nice.
Yeah. So what ended up happening there? Oh, and I'll show you some of the other ones. Mary Shelley's School of Monsters, Jessica Mason. She's coming up on the audio.
Yep.
Really, really pretty book, right? Awesome book. YA, definitely a YA book. And this is probably the best book I've read all year. Legit. The Mask of Helia.
Nice. I think I've heard of that one.
And you probably never would have heard of it. These are all independent books, right? Mary Shelley's School of Monsters. Yeah, they're all independent comic books. The comic books, like the decentralization of publishing has long been a part of the comic book industry. I think even before Kickstarter, it had already was starting to happen. But Kickstarter expedited the process, and now it's starting to do the same thing with real books too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Brandon Sanderson phenomenon.
Yeah. Although I think a lot of people should look at Sanderson's first Kickstarter, not his second, because his first Kickstarter is actually the better design Kickstarter. Because when you get to $42 million, like when you get to that much money, right? That's not just it really working out. That's kind of like a culmination of a lot of different things happening at once.
Yeah.
But his first Kickstarter, which a lot of people don't realize, I think he raised like $2 million. Like it was not small, right? But he did a lot of things there really correctly. And I think that on top of everything else contributed to the big boom. He's got like this. I mean, he's the only author I know with a real weird problem is I actually had to make a warehouse for my shit. Like legitimately.
Yeah. Nice problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. But I mean, it's that's where he's at. I mean, that's where he's at in this. But I also, yes, I know a lot of authors. I know this for a fact. I know some agents that are actually openly talking about how to use the platform too.
Yeah.
Right. It's inevitable. I think that. So when I was at San Diego, I went to the Big Five, one of the Big Five, the YA panel.
Right. Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I say this to someone who still wants to be traditionally published, but not necessarily. It's not the priority.
Yeah.
Right. It's not because I've done it. But I mean, for one of the Big Five, I've done traditional publishing, but I want something bigger and better.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I was watching this. Again, I'm just being doing this show. I just meet so many people doing so many really cool things, and I'm like, I think you're the last one to the party, and I'm not because you're not changing. I think what you need to change, and I don't know if you can. I mean, in all fairness, I don't. When you're that big a company, when you have that kind of formula that works for you, right? You might be very hard to change, if that makes sense.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now that Simon & Schuster has been picked up by whoever that venture capital company is.
Yeah.
Like if that makes them change, or if this is just, like you said, start of the end of the traditional publishers in the way they have been.
Well, they have to. Well, I think no matter what, it is the end, quote unquote, the end. The real question is, like, do they want to be like Blockbuster Video,
right?
Or do they want to be like, or they want to just modify with the times a little bit, right? I do see I don't know if you heard what happened to me. Like, you were right, but I think you were right beside me when I met who I met there at the Ghost Story thing. I haven't told too many people about this. If not, I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying, and I will have to say, I'm not saying that there isn't a place for traditional publishing for the next few years. There is, but I don't know. Like here's a weird one. Like with the way things are going, like what rights do I want to keep? And I'm thinking like this, like a businessman now, not a.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're paying me, I don't want to give myself I can acknowledge I'm a little bit of a whore, but I don't want to be that cheap of one, if that makes sense.
Well, and the deals that someone can make with just the audiobook rights can be bigger than the original book sometimes. Like
Mm.
the different channels of where you can take your creativity and where you can sell your creativity. Yeah, I mean, I know you've said this all the time. You've got to know your own value and what your creative output is worth. And yeah, it's not just one story. It's the movie rights, it's the audio rights, it's the reprint rights, it's distributing it on digital platforms. It's fascinating. It's so much more complicated.
Yeah, it's you need someone to help you with it, because like I need
Yeah.
help, because I can think of things, but I haven't thought of everything, right?
Yep.
And because they've done because so many contracts exist, obviously published. That's the one thing. Like they have thought of everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or they throw in those big and anything else that might be remotely similar to this. And it's like, no, maybe not.
and it's like, no, I want this one. It's like,
Yeah.
but well, paying me's like, you're not paying me enough. I want this one. I want this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I can work with you, but I want this. Like again, this is just like again a personal model thing. Mentioning Kickstarter crowdfunding, it's like, do I want to give those rights away?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a weird time in the industry, because it's like I think creatives have to become much more business savvy now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
The-
it's and be willing to trade off or navigate the balance between uh, monetary capital and cultural capital. It's like if you think about the art world, I used to always wonder why is it Robert Bateman
Mhm.
always got poo-pooed for being like as if he'd sold out or whatever. It's like, no, he just figured out how to sell his art in a
Yeah.
lot more ways than other painters of his era. And it's like, yeah, well, that's how much his paintings are worth. And do they got a bit of a bad rap because, oh yeah, he just would put it on anything and sell it as posters and postcards and whatever. It's like, yeah, but everyone knows Robert Bateman now. And
I have come to this conclusion for myself.
yeah.
I don't care if I win another award. Just pay me. I know it sounds like really simplistic, but that's where I'm at, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need that. It's all recognition.
Yeah.
But yeah, but some of it pays your rent and puts food on the table. That's important.
I'm more concerned about that. I'm gonna be very honest with you. That concerns me more than don't get me wrong, awards are nice.
Yes.
They're good, that they're nice. But I don't care. Like that actually and I say that not in a belittling way. I think awards can definitely have a place in any industry, but prestige and this is coming from me, the egomaniac. I don't need that ego stroke. Like
Right.
right. There's other ones I would rather have, right?
Right. So
Right.
like landing
If that makes sense.
like landing a big contract with a big 5 publisher.
That's great.
That would be great.
Right? That's great. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Right? Or I want like I'm not gonna name names, but I talked to an author who literally gets paid a stupid pile of money so that his movie doesn't get made. It's a bizarre business. The movie industry is bizarre. They
Yeah.
pay as much not to make something, sometimes more than to actually make something. It's a weird business.
Like squatting on your movie rights in order to not make the film?
Yes.
Why?
Because if someone okay, so this is a hard one to wrap your head around. Okay, this. I figured this out. When I worked way back with the author I worked with way back in like the mid 2000s. So what is worse? So if you make the risk is if you make a movie, what if it sucks?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Flip side is If you let someone else make that movie and it rocks, you look terrible.
Right.
You pass on it.
Right.
So the better thing to do is you'll pay it and you'll sit on it. And you'll pay piles of money to sit on it. That way you don't take the risk. And
you also don't risk the...
Yeah. It's stupid.
It is a little bit.
Yeah.
Your business. Like,
no, it hurts your brain. Like, wait, they pay me not to? Sure. Right.
Paying me so that somebody else doesn't make the movie.
That's pretty much it, right?
Oh my
God. Yeah, it's a weird business. And that's the thing that, like, and someone hearing this will say, it doesn't work. Oh, no, it does. That's the sad part. It really, really does. That's why it hurts the brain. And you're like, but I don't.
Yeah. So would I want to write a book in order for it to not be made into a movie? I mean, it's still the book making me this money.
Yeah. So again, it's a weird spot, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm getting paid to essentially do nothing. And you're happy with this because you don't take those risks. And I'm happy with this because you're giving me a big fat check.
You're like it's an insurance policy for them. They're paying you to be their insurance policy.
Correct.
Of some weird kind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same as if you can get a bestseller, you've written the book once. If you can sell it 1 million times, great. It's still not like, I mean, that's a nice thing about if you can get yourself published that way. It's like you've got something to resell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, again, like I said, like there are weird parts of the business, like weird parts to it. And this is one of them, right? So it's like, yes, I got the movie deal. Will the movie ever get made? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But
the longer it doesn't get made, the longer you get paid.
Yeah, unless you're like, yeah, isn't that is like the weirdest part of the whole process? It's like
this whole industry is just so weird.
Yeah. It's like, who designed this? And we're like, no, like that. But that's like literally like that's like it's not the first time I heard it. Like from that author I talked to in San Diego, right. It's not the first time I've heard this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like doesn't this hurt your brain? Kinda, but they're paying me, so.
Well, and this is again why, if you're an author, you don't want to sign away those rights to the publisher necessarily. Yeah. Because then also, if they do make the movie,
it's weird, right? It is so weird either way, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I baked Winston's Noodle 20 minutes into this conversation.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of the business.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I want to share my gifts to the world.
That's
what
right.
am I doing? I should be trying to figure out how to pay people not to see it.
That's right. Exactly.
It's like, what, like, it's like the secretly being that bad singer at a karaoke bar. You get somehow are able to convince people to pay you not to sing. Yeah, right. It's almost the same thing.
Well, I could look at life as finding other ways to pay me so that I don't write a bad novel.
That's right.
Know, maybe that's what it is.
I'm all for writing the bad novel. I'm all for it. Give me
that's where you got to start.
Well, now you got to start. You got to embrace. Look, again, same thing. I don't care about it. So here's the thing: if you can eliminate, so I say, use your ego to get what you're worth. This is what I say: like, use your ego to get what you're worth.
Yeah.
But if you can keep your ego in check with everything else, the freedom you have.
Yeah.
I got my panel at When Words Collide to sing "Carry On, Wayward Son."
And it was probably a mind-blowing panel for all the attendees. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, no, see, that's just see, but I'm silly. You see, I have, again, honest truth. I have an ego. Of course I do. Like you've seen it. You've seen it. I have an ego, but But I don't use it necessarily in like, again, I never treat anyone bad.
Right.
I give everybody a fair shake. And
Yeah.
on top of that, I encourage people to have fun. And
Yes.
that goes a long way with people.
Yes.
Wait, we get to do stupid shit? It's like, yes.
Yes. Because
I
it's
want
okay.
it's okay. And that's the real important thing. Like I look at this whole game, like what this game is, like we're here once, as far as I know.
Right.
I think see, I don't want to believe in reincarnation because I think truly that would be hell.
If you didn't know,
Even so, because sooner or later,
right?
right? Sooner or later, you're like, have I not done this before? Like there had like the whole like ultimately if you want to, again, whether you agree or don't, ultimately and I tend to go this way, the Christian argument is essentially this: there's more to life than what you see.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the whole, like, if you want to break it all down to all its nitty gritty, there's more to life than what you see here.
Yeah.
I want to believe that. So if there's reincarnation, then this is all there is. And that is hell. Like, that is true. The only way to make that worse would be if we had the same cheesy elevator music the whole time we were going through this.
And do we? I don't know.
There's a video game I loved. I love the Ninja Theory Devil May Cry. Okay, I
Okay.
love it. Okay, so there's this one. I've said this before on the show, but I'll say it again. So there's this one scene, like you're in this, like one of the last levels of the game, and you actually have to go to a point where you're in this elevator and nothing's going on. He's just going up, minding his business, turning this cheesy elevator. It goes for about like a minute.
Okay.
And in that minute, he's like, "This is hell. This is what hell is. Not the demons he was fighting outside, not all the chaos going on out there. No, going up this little elevator, hearing this stupid ass music for a good minute, nothing going on, just there. It's like this is hell." And I thought about that. It's like, you know what? I think he's right. I think that's truly like feeling like you're going absolutely nowhere. That would be that's hell. That is absolutely hell. And some people like this, and I don't understand. Did you get me? Did you get me?
We got to hop, skip.
It skipped. So did you hear all that?
Yes. About the elevator.
Yeah. That's right. So we got a little bloop here. It's coming back. It's coming back. There we go. There we go. We're back. Kind of, sort of. Not, well, I'm here.
Welcome to the modern internet.
Yeah. Well. Oh, I mean, that's the other thing I threw out. Like the other thing I'm noticing about like today's time is that, like, little bits and pieces, the system is breaking down.
Yeah.
Right. I think
it's not sustainable.
No, it's not. We're headed. We are headed to decentralization. Period. So the only question is how we get there, right? Yeah. My secret hope is we just gradually get there, because that's the. I mean, it's already happening. Like honestly, I actually did the closest thing I did to a political rant today on somebody else's board. It's like he's talking about like people don't want to talk politics because it's a privilege. I'm like, no, that's not why people don't want to talk about politics. People don't want to talk about politics because people don't see a solution. That's why people don't want to talk about politics, right? But the thing is, because of the nature of how broken our system is, people have already, like people like me. I mean, technically, I'm part of the system still.
Yeah.
But not really. I can kind of go wherever I want. Right? I can kind of do what I'm doing here could be done anywhere.
Right.
So then the question then becomes, do I want to stay in a place where all I do is work? Going back to that whole there is more thing.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Right? And it's not just me. It's everybody here. like we had in one very weird, I think one of the things for most of us are starting to realize, I don't gotta cooperate if I don't wanna. And if I don't wanna, what do I want to do? And I think that's the real question. And I think what's happening now is, um, right, is we all know this deep down. So do we want to stay in the box? Or do we want to leave the box?
Yeah.
And I think what's happening now is as the box becomes less and less sustainable, more people are going to be like, "Well, I got my ship. I'm going off. I'm going off into the unknown."
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what I hope. That's the way it goes. The other way it could go is, we can get this like centralized authority. It's like, no, we're going to stack all the marbles in a corner and it'll like hold together like with this weird super rule and player for like a few years and then just go a zillion different
And
ways.
then,
Yeah, right.
So the question is, do you leave the box on your own terms, or do you wait till the box falls apart around you and you just are part of the spillage?
Yes.
And that would be a bad place to be, I think.
Why I'm bailing, Winston. That's kind of why I'm bailing, buddy.
It's it's so interesting right now because there's so much change happening. But it's what you said. People are paralyzed, I think. There's it's almost like we can see the problems, but we haven't seen the path out yet.
Well, no, because we're still. I think like again, we're not going to get into like what politics you believe in. That's not the point. That's not the point I'm about to say. But it's really easy to go kind of like look at, hey, my guy is better than your guy, right? For whatever reason you want. It really doesn't matter. I tend to more subscribe to I'm picking this guy because of this. Yeah. I think I find that's at least a more understandable argument these days than that. But ultimately, you know this. You go on Facebook, you'll see people point about how this party is terrible, how I'm great, and blah blah, or this guy is great, or you don't want to hear any of that shit because what you realize is, right, if that's where you're at, then you got to look at it's like then what needs to be happening is does the guy you represent have the moral authority to kind of go with all the way in? And if they don't, then you're just picking somebody you like.
Yeah.
And you're not really dealing with the problem. You're fomenting a bigger issue. All right. And that's it. And again, it doesn't really matter what party like we're talking about here. So
yeah. It's going to be interesting next few years.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be eating ice cream under train tracks next year. And I'm going to be surfing in San Diego. San Diego is awesome, dude. Like I can't even put into words how awesome that city was. Like
I've never been. I know I've never been. Yeah.
Everybody has the same impression if they go in there. If I could, I'd live here. It's that nice of a place.
Interesting. All right.
You couldn't pay me enough to live in LA, Winston. You couldn't do it. Right. You just couldn't. I would take like the first chance I'd get, I'd bail. But I mean, but San Diego, you could talk me into that. It's like, oh, I'm already halfway there.
This is an interesting question because the only place I've lived in other than Edmonton is Red Deer for 9 months.
Okay.
And then came right back. So I have no concept of what it would be like to be anywhere else. It's one thing to travel to the place, but I really should try living somewhere else just so that I've got a point of comparison or something.
Do you want a metaphor to go work with? A metaphor you'll appreciate, I think.
Sure, yeah.
So take a book back there. Take one of your favorite books back there. Okay. Now, now assume Edmonton is page 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you move to. We're gonna stay in Alberta. I'm gonna pick somewhere nice.
Okay.
Banff. I'm gonna pick Banff.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Go to page 74. And that's the start. And that's the starting point. And then you go to and then say you go to another city. Go to page 120. Then the next city. Go to page 45. Every city you live in is at a different stage of development. Right. So that's the thing. And your base point is always going to be the city you lived in first. In your case, that's why Edmonton's page one,
Right.
right? So I've lived in Oshawa, Detroit, Phoenix, like here, Vancouver, lots of those small places. So I had a unique advantage in the sense that I can literally look at a city and kind of see where it's at, and I can predict where it's going to go.
Gotcha.
Right, just based on my experience, because I've lived in so many places, I can kind of see the pattern.
Yeah.
Right, that's the outsider advantage. Is you get to see, you see patterns before anybody else does because you've experienced them in some form or fashion. Now the catch is, if you notice, now here's the challenge, and this is why this metaphor works. Because I've done all that, I've never done things in the proper order. Right. Because I've been so busy going through the journey. So my book has different, so it's page 1 through like say 10, and then it goes to like the 45 to like 70, and then it goes like the 30 to say 35, and then it goes to, because I don't do it in the same order everybody else does, because I never had that opportunity. I've always been on the move.
Right.
That's what it's like. To put that in perspective, that is, just imagine it like that. There are
and so where's San Diego for you then?
What?
So
San Diego
is what then in that metaphor?
Okay, so let's see. So San Diego is, depending on how you look at it, it's either Act 2 or the end of Act 3.
Okay, and you are in what? You are still in Act 1?
I have no idea where I'm at actually. This one, that's the problem. You do this too much, you don't know what act you're at anymore. I kind of feel like again, there's downsides to it, and that's one of the big ones is you don't have a normal arc, so you don't know what I feel. And then again, man, this might sound like overly cocky. I feel like I'm on the precipice of hitting some really big success.
Gotcha.
Right.
So
what do I do with it? And what I mean by that is, okay, there's, this, like the people, like you just graduated from a library. You're a librarian now. You've embraced your passion of books.
Yeah.
People helped you, and you know who they are, and you know who they are, and you appreciate them. But if anyone now comes in and and really, really talks you up, and you don't know them, there's going to be a little part of you in the back of your mind that's going to be like, what do you want? Right? Because you worked your ass off. You know what it took to get you to where you're at. And you're not going to be as quick to let people in. Right? You're not going to be as quick. That doesn't mean you won't. But you're going to be a little bit more like, right? Same with me. I'm going to be like, there are some beautiful people we know that I'm not really, really close to. Suddenly I make a hit, and they all of a sudden suddenly they're my buddy. I'm gonna be like, nah. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. That's where I feel I'm at. I'm at that weird point where I think I've done a lot. I'm happy with what I've done, but I feel like I haven't hit my stride yet. And when I really hit, I think maybe I'm a cocky son of a bitch, but I think it's going to be a home run, right? I think it's going to be a home run. And when it does hit that, when I do get that hit, I'm going to be if people suddenly that are not part of my life or haven't been part of that development, they're not, and they're suddenly, it's like, hey, I remembered you when. I'm going to be like, no. And there's going to be some people who were there for me at my lowest point. I'm going to go thank them. Because that's who I am.
Well, it's like the difference between knowing your own worth and knowing what other people see your worth as. And I think a lot of people confuse those two. They mistake their own worth for only what worth other people see in them, or the value they see in them. So
yeah, exactly.
Beware those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, they might not be bad people. but they're going to look at what you got and they're going to wonder how you got it. And
Yeah.
to some degree, that's understandable. I'm not even like, it's not even like, I don't think it's necessarily a villainous thing.
Yeah.
But I think, but I also think too, it's going to be like, this is the thing about really like what I've noticed with really successful people is they are very careful who they trust. And
Yes.
this is why, and this is why,
Yeah.
right? Right. And you gotta, and they have to get a sense that you don't want anything from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that before they really, really open their guard, like let their guard down.
Yeah.
And even right. And even then, that only goes so far. There are individuals we both know that never let that guard down. And then there
Yeah.
are individuals that just have a good time once they right. And we
Yeah.
know those people too. But it's one of those you have to. That's where I feel like I'm at. Like that's where I feel like I'm not quite. Again, I've done some things I'm proud of. Some things I'm on the cusp of.
Right.
But now I really want to go to the next level. And for me to do that, right? And again, I've had some opportunities come my way in the last few weeks and months that I'm kind of like trying to take full advantage of.
Nice.
But I'm ready to do that. And I think good things, even if they're not what I imagined them to be, good things will come from that. And
Oh yeah.
I truly believe that. And I'm at that point in my life where I don't stop myself, right? So,
Yep.
but I think you got a sense of that when we ran into each other again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like there's the problem is often the short meme sort of life advice things are terrible because you only should be listening to them half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And quite often what I'll notice is people out there picking one of those as the way they're moving forward. It's like, no, you need to do the opposite. So so when you said like saying yes to things, that is advice that a lot of people do need to follow because they stop themselves. Just like you said, like they say, oh no, I'm not ready for that, or that's not for me, or I don't think I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, saying yes to more stuff, I think is brilliant. And on the extreme, there's some dude that wrote the book about saying yes to everything for a whole year or something like that.
Yeah.
That's also the way to burn out if you're saying that yes for the wrong reasons and just saying that yes to please everyone or make sure everyone else is happy with you and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know how I got on that rant. But
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's something.
It's the yes. The like saying yes to things that you like, leaning into the discomfort or the uncomfortable things or the things that you're afraid of being the things that you should do. That is often very good advice.
Yes, I think I've said this to many authors, and especially since again I've done this journey for a long time. It's okay to not want the same things other people want. I think this is the important thing. But you got to be honest with what you really want. Like, for example, I want to be traditionally published. I do want to be, but more than that, I gotta be honest about it. There's part of me that really wants it.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary. How to put this. I could live if it never happens again. Right? It's not such a thing that I'm going to just, but I'd like that. And I would like to be that guy once, just because I'd be a fun ride once. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't need it. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need it. And that's me being very honest with myself. I want it though. So I should at least try.
Yes.
Now,
and it's also knowing that it might not be the only way. I think you said that before, where like things don't always work out the way you want. Like, I mean, I've many times over my life thought, oh, it'd be fun to actually write a science. I have these ideas. I should write a science fiction novel. I should write something. And it's like, I haven't yet. I'm not like a lot of the writers we both know where they can't help it. They have to write, like they have to get things out of them. But I do love books. There's other ways to make your life about the book world. And so it's like, so I wonder sometimes, should I, like when that little voice goes, yeah, you really should just write, write a story. It's like, yeah, but I'm doing all this other cool stuff that's to do with books.
Okay. So let me do the caveat. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
Here's the caveat.
Yes.
But if you really want to do it, you should. Like going with something I
Right.
said earlier, going with something I said earlier. I said I could live with it. I never got traditionally published again.
Right.
Doesn't mean I shouldn't try to do it. Now, grant you, it may not end up that way, but that's not the job. The job is to, okay, I'm going to write the book the best I can.
Right.
I'm going to do the due diligence I said I would to the best of my knowledge, what I
Yeah.
know how.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to let the cards fall the way they're going to fall.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I no longer worry about, I know how fragile a result truly is, right? How
Yeah.
fragile that is. So I'm not interested so much in getting that perfect, exact result I'm looking for.
Right.
What I'm interested in is, am I doing everything I know how to do correctly to get to that result?
Right.
Right. And if I go completely like left curve, okay, maybe I did something wrong, right? Maybe I did something completely batshit wrong. Right. And I need to learn from this. Like I want to get within the ballpark of what I'm doing at least, right? But the thing is, I'm very conscious. I want to try this. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right this very minute. And if I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this in a way that fits what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
That fits what I'm doing. And kind of worked out that way. So I'm okay. You know what? The opportunity is there. Let's see what happens. Right. But I'm not. But yeah. So my job now is to show up and do it.
Right.
Because I want this. So turning this to you.
Yes.
Turning this to you. If you feel, now again, you don't need to tell the story right now. You don't need to tell the story tomorrow. That's fine. Right. That is, you can own that. That's cool. Right.
Yes.
But if you have a little voice in the back of your head that says you should tell this story, then the question I would ask, because I'm doing other cool things in books, kind of, right? You said that with a but.
Ah.
And then that was almost perfect timing right there.
You can have do not disturb on, but there we go.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't judge people for what they choose to do and what they don't choose to do.
Right.
What I care about is, are you being, again, what is the best version of Mr. Winston? Is he doing that? If he's doing that, then I don't care. And I mean that, like, again, not in a negative way, but I mean, like, you're doing what you're supposed to do with the people you love. Who the fuck am I to judge? Right. Right. But if you're like, I really should do this, but I'm not doing this for some reason, then the question is, okay, let's eliminate the but in this equation. Why is there a but?
Well, actually, what I would say is there a but? Like, for example, going back to library school wasn't really a plan. It's not something that's been kind of, nagging me, but I look back on my life, it's a pretty natural step in progression. And once I started leaning into the idea, the whole universe kind of said, yeah, that's pretty, yeah, we think you should be doing that. And that's where I've, like, so when the idea came to, yeah, actually, you should go to library school, that sort of became, that crossed the line from being, yeah, it'd be nice one day to do this, to this is something you really need to do. When it crosses that line, it just kind of, I think I've been, well, both very lucky and had the right attitude about things, that's just it. I end up putting the energy into it. So, like, I think if it had gotten that under my skin that, no, you have a sci-fi novel you need to write, and I'd started on it, and I've started writing things lots of times, but uh, I think it's almost not like you asked if there's a but or what the but would be. It's more that there are things that I've just done in my life where no but ever happened. It just that is the door that I went down. So
Yeah.
so like I think I am meant to go to library school, and I may never become a librarian. Um,
Mhm.
I may end up owning a bookstore or doing something entirely that I did not think of at all.
I could totally see you owning a bookstore, but yes.
So like yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like I am not worried as much as I used to be about, well, what if I have this, if I keep talking about writing, why don't I do writing? Well, I kind of have done writing my whole life, not
Sure.
not specifically that kind of writing, but I've spent my life playing with words. Yeah, that has been a good life. So yeah, I don't. So now I should ask myself the question though: is there a but? And am I like I don't think I'm doing easier things. I don't think
No,
I'm
no, no.
doing so I'm like I don't think I'm taking the like I don't think I'm avoiding writing the great science fiction novel. I would like I think my role would actually be to is sort of that supporting role. I'm here to encourage other writers to go do the thing because
Sure.
yeah, I don't know.
No, no, no. Okay.
Call me on it. Call me on it. What are you thinking?
Okay, so let's just do it. What's the but? If there is
For
one, what
writing
is it? If there is a but, what is it?
see, I don't know because the way I look at it is hmm,
If you don't know, let's try something else real quick.
okay.
Do you feel compelled to write it?
I don't feel compelled to write it because if I did feel compelled to write it, I would have already written it, is how I kind of feel.
Okay, no, no, okay, that's fair. No, no. So is it? I mean, so then the question then is this something you need to do or something you'd like to do? And there's a difference there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, I think it's something I would like to do, but there's a long list of things that I would like
Sure.
to do that I think would be as equivalent. Like, I would love to learn how to play the cello. That's come up in my brain a few times in my life. And I might still do that one day. But is it that I want to play the cello or as long as I'm playing music? And I already play trombone and not this year, but next year I'm hoping to get back to it. And this is the part about I can't say yes to everything every
Yeah.
year. And so because I was very close. I was like, oh, that would be like I know there's a group in town that's spinning up a jazz band, and we had a retirement party for my high school band teacher who finally retired from band, and we got together and we actually pulled together a wind ensemble and a stage band to play a couple songs for him. So his last chance to conduct with students from his entire career is great. I was like, oh, why am I not playing more right now? I miss playing in a band. Well, I'm not playing in a band right now because I'm in school and working several jobs and doing a bunch of other things that are the things I feel compelled to do right now.
Okay. So, folks, what we're talking about here is we only have so much time in the day.
Yes.
That's it. We only have so much time in the day. And he hasn't even mentioned his kids, right? Or his family, right? He hasn't mentioned any of that stuff. So here's the thing. Yeah, this is the saying yes to everything. This is the thing. You have to learn how to say no too.
Yes.
And no is a boundary. And you have to understand what those boundaries are. Like you gotta make those decisions what they are for yourself. Me,
Yeah.
right?
learn how to make those decisions right.
Yeah, and you're still gonna screw up sometimes.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Lots. Oh, I have lost audio, my friend.